Welcome back. As I've been promoting for the past several shows, I'm joined now by one of my Twitter buddies, one of my buddies on the Twitter machine. He hasn't been on my podcast yet, I don't think, although he has joined Vasti and I on our Game Over with Vasti and Sharona podcast. So Mike, Mr. Excalaba on Twitter, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you for having me, Super Sharona. I'm so glad you can have me on.
Well, I've been needing to. This has been something that I've been planning, and I'm glad that we're able to make it happen.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. We have been focusing a lot on sports, and Mike and I may talk some sports. We'll see. We got a lot of other things that we want to talk about, but I've been promising you guys that I was going to talk a lot about diversity and the upcoming presidential election and some other topics that are near and dear to my heart. And so I thought, as I've been thinking about it and preparing for it, I was like, there's no really better person to do this with than Mike, because I know Mike has a lot of strong opinions. He's not afraid to express them. But since it is his first time on my podcast, I'm going to let him tell you guys a little bit about himself and about his podcast.
Oh, thank you. You can find me on Twitter at Excalaba, Excalaba, or you can follow my podcast or a show that is on Instinct Radio. It's called The Locker Room. And you can follow our Twitter handle at @4HF Advantage. I've been doing sports radio for about 2.5 years, and it is awesome because I get all the backlash from my Twitter friends. I enjoy the slander. I relish in it.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, and you definitely. Depending on what you say and what you do, can get a lot of backlash. We may talk some football or some basketball. Are you a hockey guy? What sports do you watch?
No, I am not a hockey guy. Unfortunately, Atlanta has lost 2 hockey teams. I think that means that I should not be involved.
So you live in Hotlanta. I don't know that. I knew that because you're a Falcons guy. You're a Falcons fan.
Yes, yeah. Atlanta has lost 2 hockey teams, and I just figured it's just not for us. Yeah. But I'm very much into football and basketball. Of course,
the Hawks. Yeah. Are you a big Hawks fan?
Absolutely, huge Hawks fan.
All right, we might talk some NBA. I want to get your thoughts on LeBron and what's going on with him. But let's talk about some other things first. Something that I've been talking about for the last couple of shows, the Oscars so white movement, the lack of diversity in Hollywood. There's a lack of diversity in a lot of areas, but the Oscars is something that we've been talking about here lately. So let's talk a little bit about it. It sort of came about, I suppose. Do we credit Jada Pinkett Smith for starting the Oscars so white movement?
No, I don't. We've been screaming every year around the same time about the Oscars and its diversity. So it's not I can remember at least the last 4 to 5 years we've been speaking about its diversity.
Okay.
But Jada Pinkett's a louder voice, so it's being heard a little more.
Okay.
But we've been talking about it for a while now.
I got you. All right. I like her a lot. I think that, their marriage is interesting. Of course, you hear the rumors, and I had the opportunity to talk. I did not know. I watched some, Fresh Prince. I'm not a big television person anyway. I Netflix and chill a lot, and I game a lot when I have free time, which isn't very often. So I was not aware of the beef going back to the Fresh Prince days with Auntie Viv and all of that, and of course now you hear and read about the rumors about their marriage and stuff, and we're not going to get into any of that. I don't, my philosophy is I don't care who you do it with, as long as it's consensual you can bump boots with anybody as long as it's, and I say consensual. I shy away from using the term legal because there are a lot of weird law. I mean, I think Georgia, I know Alabama has some weird sex laws on the books where, you can't, fellatio is punishable, as a felony, which is, and it goes back to the laws against homosexuality and all of that. We're not going to get into any of that. I don't care whether they have an open marriage. If they have an open marriage and that suits them, you go. Do you. I'm all for it,
Absolutely.
But I do find it interesting that, and I think that she's the driving force really in that marriage. And I think Will's kind of along for the ride, so to speak. But, for Will Smith to be involved in this, and I said this on a show last week, I don't know that anybody's benefited from white association more than Will Smith. And I like dude.
Interesting. I will say that I think I never thought about it that way, but you actually have a point there. He's definitely benefited from not from exactly the African American support, but more so from a more universal support than other people have.
I mean, he's the guy who played Ali, and he's in a lot of movies, projects that are financed by white men. Concussion, I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. And I love the guy. Listen, I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying I find that it's curious to me. I don't think that Will Smith is hurting for food. I mean, he's not out here, holding up a sign saying, we'll work for food. The dude's getting roles. He's going to continue to get roles because he's very popular among the Hollywood elite.
Right, and he doesn't rock the boat, and he hasn't rocked the boat in a long time. If you want to say he has rocked the boat, it's probably the only time in his career is when he did Concussion, which he basically went up against the NFL. And
yeah. But they got sanctioned. I mean, the NFL had its hand in that. They gave certain creative, license to the NFL, and I mean, certainly it's not sanctioned, right? But there's a hand in there, and all this, which is why when I read, these news reports and stuff, oh, this is the NFL's biggest nightmare. The NFL's biggest nightmare was League of Denial, the true story.
Okay.
What was, I mean, that was, the documentary, what it's all based on. That's their nightmare. The league has known this was going to happen, and there's some. They've had a little bit of a hand, not as much as it's certainly not something that they've got a major hand in, but they've definitely had a role there. It's kind of interesting. I haven't seen the movie yet. Have you seen Concussion?
I have not seen Concussion. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people that's twirling a sign outside. I am poor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Listen, the last time I went to the movies, I went and saw the latest Jurassic Park movie. I haven't been to see Star Wars yet, even though I want to. I work too dang much.
Right.
I work so much, and we're recording this on today's Thursday. My days are all mixed up. I mean, because it's been such a crazy last couple of weeks. Well, it is my time. It is 5:21 Thursday evening, and we're sitting down to record this. After I had an interview. Thank you, by the way, for being patient and waiting for me. I had an interview right before this one. When I get through with you, and we get through with our chat, I'll throw some makeup on and do my Wednesday night show got moved to Thursday night, so I'll do that, and then by the time I get through with all of that, it'll be 9 o'clock, and there's the night shot. So that's that's pretty constant. Busy. Yeah, I mean that's pretty constant for me. So
I didn't see Concussion. I will see it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I'll probably see it on Netflix or my family has cable. I might watch it with them or whatever. I do still intend to go see Star Wars on the big screen because I think that's the kind of movie that you should. But, I mean, my sister has a huge TV, and, with the advent of big screen TVs that you have in your home, my desire to spend the money to go pay for overpriced, poorly cooked popcorn, and I'm not a soda person, so I wouldn't drink,
Right.
There, where I used to live, I just moved not too long ago. Where I used to live, there was a theater where you could drink, beer and stuff and eat, and then I would see a movie that way because that was fun, But I can sit at home and watch a movie and drink a beer or glass of wine or whatever, and get my freak on and not have to pay, $30, $40, $50, depending on how many people are with you, right? I mean, that's real world shit.
Yeah, in order to go to the movies, I have to sell half a pound of crack, and I'm just not interested in endangering my community or going to jail. So I just have to save up for it. Have to save up for it and find the time to do it.
Yeah, did you think that Chris Rock should have boycotted the Oscars? And of course,
No.
he's going to host it. Did you think he should have?
No, absolutely not. I always try to live by. I try not to count anyone else's pockets, and we don't
Completely
know.
Agree.
We don't know what Chris Rock needed that check for. He may have really needed this one for something. It is really inconsiderate to ask someone to give up their paycheck for your own movement.
Yeah,
you have to fight that movement for yourself.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I was like that when people were calling for NBA players to protest, some of the racist things that were coming out, Donald Sterling among others. I was like, well, I mean, why, it's always easier to spend someone else's money,
Right.
and to say, well, I would, well, no, for Chris Rock and. Speaking of Hollywood in specific, and Chris Rock in specific. Now, Chris Rock is another guy who gets gigs. He's in with the Hollywood establishment. He's going to get gigs, even though he is more controversial than Will Smith. But still, the economic reality for minorities, for the marginalized, for the disenfranchised, is that when you get opportunities, you take them because those opportunities don't come as often and aren't nearly as lucrative typically as they are for those who are not.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chris Rock is he's an accepted African American.
Yeah.
But he's also worked hard for that.
Sure.
And so
I'm not hating on him.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Rock and I disagree on a lot of things. I'm still pissed off at him for his defense of Bill Cosby. But I still like dude. I'm not hating on him.
Yeah, so, we can't always ask even though we may assume that they, we think they make more money, so they'll have more money. We don't know their expenses, their life. You can't ask anybody to turn down a check.
Yeah.
Only thing you can do is ask them to join your movement, but you can't tell them what to do with that movement.
Yeah. Yeah, support in the way that you can provide support, and it kind of does. Speaking of LeBron, it does kind of remind me of all the people who were saying he should have spoken out more about Tamir Rice and all of that. Michael Jordan got similar complaints back in the day. He didn't speak out at all. LeBron's far more socially conscious than Michael Jordan ever was, but still it is.
Yeah, I've always said it's okay to be disappointed in maybe a celebrity's or a mainstream person's actions, but you really can't control what they do. You just don't know all the circumstances in their life.
Yeah. No, you can't. And I'll say this too. As much as I disagree, with Chris Rock about more than Bill Cosby, some other things too. Never did get a chance to talk about what he had to say about the the economic pay gap in Hollywood for women. I need to add that to my list and go back and talk. But I'll say this. I respect and admire people who are willing to disagree with me and stay true to their self than I do people who'll, pretend to agree with me, yet, in private, they're all like, shit, no, I support Bill Cosby. Those women are lying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Be real with me. And that's really what all you can ask from somebody is to be real with you.
No, totally agree with that.
So I was talking with Ben Troop. Today's Thursday. This was yesterday. To think what day of the week it is. Lord have mercy. We were talking about, I don't know if you had a chance to see this article. Very interesting. They're doing a movie about Michael Jackson over in England, and his brother, Josephine. There's the two brothers, the Fiends brothers. Rafe and Joe are both actors over there. Both fantastic, award-winning actors. And Joseph has been hired, is going to portray Michael Jackson in that movie. And we talked about that. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm completely and utterly outraged, but to me, it is an example of why, and it's not quote unquote Hollywood per se, but it's the entertainment industry. Why the entertainment industry just simply does not get it, and this is why diversity is still very much an issue. They could have easily hired, a minority, even someone mixed to.
Very much so.
True. But, no, they're stuck in that we've got to hire a white man to do it.
Oh, totally. It's even though I saw it and it initially shocked me, I did look at the guy. He does look like Michael Jackson. It's, it's one of those things, like you said, it's like Hollywood could try to attempt to give a person of color that role, but at the same time, they're just looking to make money, and if you're going to go support it and they have reasons to think that you will go support it, they're going to do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of which, and this is something, I'm so glad Mike's on here because this is something that I've been wanting, and I'm going to discuss this movie with some other people. I'm going to do a podcast next week. It's going to include Sonia Greenfield was on the podcast with me yesterday. We sat down Monday night and did a podcast. Her husband's going to join me, and I'm going to ask him about this too. I forget what night it was. This has probably been about a week or so ago. I was just wasted, not drunk wasted, although I'm sure I was having an adult beverage or two. No, I was like, and ordinarily, if I get downtime, I'm gaming or whatever. But, on occasion, this happened last night, on occasion, I'm too tired to do that. I'm just too tired to mentally focus enough to game. And so I was like, I'm going to put a movie on and chill, not Netflix and chill. I'm going to put a movie on that I hadn't watched in a long time, and it was Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, okay.
Yeah, and it had been a few years since I'd watched it. And so I pop it in, and, and I don't know. I guess I had forgotten, and it immediately jumps in, right, with the language, and then it's very much tongue-in-cheek and all of that. But I'm curious. Have you seen the movie?
I saw Blazing Saddles years ago. I'm talking about I had to be a young teenager. I know it's been out for a really long time because I think I was in middle school when I watched it.
All right. Well, it's not for you to watch it again and come back on and that's really talk about it. So I'm curious how minorities, black people, particularly black men, feel this movie makes. It was. In fact, let me hold on just a second. I'm going to grab it real quick because it's sitting right here. Let me take a look at it, and I'll tell you guys when it was made and all of that.
I think it was 74.
Here it is. All right. Hang on. Blazing Saddles. It's a Mel Brooks movie. And let's see if it tells me.
It should be 1974 if I remember correctly.
Should be. I don't know. I can't. Let me turn the light on so I can see. But anyway, I'm kind of curious what you guys do think about movies like that where white people are, making liberal use of the N-word. And even though it's meant to highlight racism, does something within you go, wait, dude, or not?
I think in general it make most people kind of quiver, most black people quiver. For me, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I am always under the assumption that everybody on this earth, or I should say everybody in America, has said nigger, nigga, or the N-word at least once in their life.
Okay.
In their head, in the privacy of their own homes, to friends, out in public. I'd rather you say it out in public than you say it in your head while I'm walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't bother me as much.
Well, wouldn't you rather know someone is racist, sexist, or whatever? I'd rather know. I'd rather them be open and honest about it than be a closet racist.
Absolutely. I appreciate someone who's openly prejudiced because at least you're accepting your imperfections and you're letting it be known so that I'm not shocked. So that if I do decide to support you or pursue any kind of relationship or business with you, I know where you stand. It's really bad when you don't know where someone stands, and in their mind and to their friends, they have all kind of prejudiced thoughts about you. I tell my wife all the time that I'm an ignorant chauvinist. Like, I don't know when I'm being a chauvinist person. But I know that I'm being one somewhere deep down inside. And she's always said she appreciates that about me because most people, they know they're being chauvinist and they don't care. And they won't tell you.
Yeah. You're right. It was made in 1974. And it's interesting because there's a Richard Pryor documentary, and I forget the name of it. I'll have to look that up here in a minute. And it talks about the movie. He helped write the screenplay, and he was supposed to be Bart. He was supposed to
really
to take the star. Yes, but the studio would not approve it. And it ended up going to, and I've got it pulled up. Let me see what this guy's name is. Cleavon Little.
Okay.
Yeah, and he did a fantastic job. And it has some moments of humor that get me to this day. Some of it, and Harvey Korman, who is no longer with us. He was Hedley Lamar. He is funny. Gene Wilder, another funny guy, and Madeline Kahn, who plays the main female character in the movie, is fantastic. She does such a fantastic job. It has moments of brilliance and where it's funny, and you can really see Richard Pryor's hand in some of it. But as I was watching it again, dude, I gotta tell you, I was fucking uncomfortable. I mean, for like the first 15 or 20 minutes, I was like, I guess I didn't remember how bad it was.
Right.
And it's I know that it's designed to make that point, but I was like, man, I just wonder. I gotta ask somebody. I gotta get somebody on my show and help me talk about this, because I wonder how it does get taken, and it's kind of interesting. So you need to rewatch it. We'll revisit that and have a conversation about that. So,
I did tell people when I watched what was that? I want to say it wasn't 12 Years a Slave. It was Django.
Yeah.
Of course, that was, Quentin Tarantino, and
Yeah.
everybody just talked about the gratuitous word use of that word, and
yeah.
it
I didn't make
bother
it.
me.
I made it 10 minutes into that.
Oh, wow.
That's all I could do.
It doesn't bother me because, first of all, you're not calling me that. And second of all, again, I just already assumed that everyone has said or verbalized the word. It's just shocking when people hear it. But I've already assumed that everyone said it. So it doesn't bother me as long as it's not directed towards me.
Yeah.
Everybody has a little prejudice in them. I just appreciate when you show it to me.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I'd rather somebody show me who they are rather than hiding it from me and pretending to be somebody that they're not, definitely. We're going to talk about Bernie Sanders reparations and the upcoming presidential election here in a minute. But I want to ask you, it's kind of an interesting week on Twitter. Twitter's always got something going on.
Twitter's awesome.
It's free. It's the best entertainment in the world, and it's free. It's like,
I still can't believe it's free. They're charging by now.
It's crazy. So, there's always something going on. I'm quite fond of jumping on there saying, what are we fake mad about today? But,
yeah.
So yesterday, there was an interaction. I think it was yesterday. There was an interaction between Wiz Khalifa and who I call Kanye, but Kanye West. And Twitter was all abuzz about it. Apparently, Wiz had tweeted something about weed, and Ye didn't know what he was talking about. Ye still, Amber still got him all twisted. There ain't no question, but that Amber still has Ye all twisted. Do you agree with that?
I think she definitely still has an impact on him, and I just only think that's because they haven't lived their truth. Like, we don't, clearly there's a lot about their relationship that we don't know, and we will never know.
Never know.
So it's going to always be an issue there, or some kind of tension.
Yeah. Yeah, she signed a non-disclosure agreement. She is not allowed to really talk about him. But there was an interesting tweet. I sent it to you. You had a chance to take a look at it?
I did look at it.
I want to ask you, and the tweet was, let me pull it up so I'll give credit and quote it verbatim so that I don't misconstrue it. Here we go. It was by Humble TJ, Fire JB. He tweeted out, I've always felt like there were some racial overtones in how Ye views Kim versus how he views Amber, but that could be just me reading into it. And Ye infamously went on a radio station and said that he had to take like 30 showers after being with Amber before he could get with Kim, which was a really shitty thing to say.
It was.
And I mean, for God's sake, Kim Kardashian made a sex tape with Ray J.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a freaking break, dude. So what do you think about it? Do you think that there is?
No, I don't think there's any kind of racial issue. As a matter of fact, I don't even, part of Amber Rose's allure is that on first glance you think she's Caucasian. So I don't really see the racial undertones. However, there's clearly a classism issue.
Yeah.
Between the two.
No, I agree with that completely.
Kanye, who I absolutely love, even in his as he was ranting on Twitter yesterday, I just laughed. I didn't get offended by anything. I just laughed because it was so stupid. You just gotta laugh at it.
Dude is just so washed. I'm sorry. He is so freaking washed. First of all, to be so clueless about what Wiz was talking about, and then and they went through all this stuff, and it was like, well, cool pants, dude, and then he deleted everything, and then he was like, I love everybody, and it's like, get over yourself. And I haven't listened to his latest compilation with Kendrick Lamar, who I love, who I think is the greatest. He is that dude now. But the single that he dropped before that sucked badly.
Yeah, it wasn't that good, no. No, not at all. Yeah, his last one was, I think, something Party in L.A. or No Party in L.A.
I don't know. It was awful.
It was pretty good. That was the one with Kendrick, and
Kendrick
it was pretty
Lamar.
good.
Yeah, that one was. Yeah, I don't remember the name of the other one, but Tell the Truth or something like that. Anyway,
here's the thing with Kanye. I appreciate the fact that he kind of made a fool of himself on Twitter, and the reason being is because I think people have to remember he's married. Now, first of all, to look over the whole thing, Wiz Khalifa had been tweeting some little things at Kanye over the past 2 days.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when Kanye sees a tweet that says KK, who, Wiz Khalifa explains is weed, Kanye goes on defensive. You're not going to talk about my wife. And he jumps out there. And as a married man, I understand that. Logically, I'd never want to fight. But if you disrespect my wife, I'm probably going to have an illogical reaction, and we're going to go to war, and I'll probably apologize later. So I actually...
I can respect that. No,
I respect Kanye on that. He went to war for his wife, made a complete fool of himself, deleted everything and said, look, I love everybody. He probably texted him later and was like, my bad, I didn't know, I thought you was going to my wife. Like, you have to understand that. That's what happens when you have a wife. It's like, it's time to go to war. But I get it.
Yeah, it was funny. I wanted to get your thoughts on. I agree. I think it's probably more classism than it is racism. But but
horrible classism.
But caught up in that is the whole. I mean, Amber Rose. Not just for her association with rappers and other high-profile men. She was a stripper. She's not afraid to show her body. And, that's her thing. Whereas Kim K, basically doing the same thing, except that she has a reality, and quote-unquote reality, TV show. Makes that much difference between the two. I mean, seriously.
No, it's not. The only thing is that they're in different tax brackets.
Yes.
And that's the only thing that's different. Kim is from this more wealthy family. Amber has worked herself up from the bottom, and still, even at this successful, more successful part of her life, she still doesn't have nearly the money that Kim K has. It's just the general American theory. You treat the person that makes more money better than you treat the person that doesn't make money.
Yeah, but doesn't that have, and we're getting ready to talk reparations, doesn't that have, it goes back in a way to, I mean, Kim K's got her reality TV show because she's a white. I mean, she's mixed too, right? I mean, her father was Italian or so. Anyway, but I mean, she fits that white stereotype. Amber does not, and I think that there's a little bit of racism all mixed up in that. Let's go ahead and talk about Bernie Sanders, reparations, upcoming presidential election. You don't have to tell me who you're voting for. It ain't about that. But I'm curious to, if you want to, you can. I don't mind. I don't know who I'm voting for yet. I ain't got one damn clue who I'm going to vote for. It's probably going to be whoever wins the Democratic nomination, simply because the Republicans are fucking awful.
You don't like Donald Trump? I mean,
Donald Trump scares the crap. I think, the Republican nomination, and I'll just go ahead and say it would not shock me if this stupid-ass country did not elect his dumb ass.
Yeah.
They elected Bush twice, the younger Bush.
Oh, that's very true, yes.
I mean.
I mean, I don't vote. I choose to stay politically neutral, but I do keep up with it.
Mine,
Uh,
you don't vote?
no, not at all. I stay politically neutral. Is nothing that
You need to
any.
exercise your right to vote, dude.
Nah, I have a lot of rights. That's one that I'm cool on. I've just always been a person that nobody that's elected is gonna do anything. Nobody that's I don't like that's gonna get elected is going to do anything. It's all bad.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna change anything.
Yeah.
So I just play neutral,
what,
but I do keep up with everything.
so what do you think about the candidates?
I think Bernie Sanders is very interesting just because he speaks the most. I mean, you can tell that he's full of it. Like he would get in office and do nothing, but he makes the most outlandish requests that he's going to think about doing.
He would do as much as a Republican Congress would let him do, which won't be much.
Absolutely. Donald Trump is a sideshow who I enjoy watching because that's pure comedy.
He's the modern day P.T. Barnum.
Yeah, but I'm with you. The scary part is that there's an inkling that it's possible that he could get elected.
Mm-hmm.
When all you should be watching is for the pure entertainment. You remember Ross Perot?
Oh, yes.
Ross Perot, he had his points, but he was pure entertainment. He was out there. He was country. He had the big ears, and he had money, and he threw it in your face, and that's all that mattered. He was pure entertainment.
His face plastered on the Mad magazine dude was the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yes. Yes. But see, for Donald Trump, I have no idea why people are not looking at him the same way I look at him. Which he's the same as Ross Perot. He's just comedy.
Yeah.
Just look at him and laugh.
But he definitely is popular among a certain element in this country, of which there seems to be a large contingent of unhappy, in a lot of ways, prejudiced, hate mongers, people clearly unhappy with their station in life. And it scares me to think what will happen in this country if dude does get elected. Bernie Sanders, though, is being taken to task a little bit by, I talked about this on yesterday's show, by a guy that I respect greatly. I keep saying it. I'm going to say it again. Bucket listening to get him on the show. Tanisa Coate, come on the show, buddy. Come talk to me. Who has written about reparations. Bernie Sanders, the most progressive, the guy you would, of any of the candidates that you would expect to be on board with it, has come out against it, and Coate has taken him to task over it.
Right.
So, and I had my own thoughts to say about what he wrote, and my thoughts on reparations. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still very much in let me think about this mode. I had some brief thoughts about it yesterday, but I want to ask you, Mike, what do you think about reparations?
Reparations in general, I think is old. I mean, it's not like the United States has never paid it. We've paid it several times. Two of them were pretty big. I think once we paid, I don't know, did we help pay for the Jewish community? I don't remember.
That was Germany paid a large it was the first time, if I remember correctly, the first time a government had ever paid reparations for war crimes.
Okay. So we definitely paid the Asian community specifically, specifically those of the Korean community who we wrongfully picked them out thinking they were Chinese. And then we paid it out to the island, the Bikini Island, for basically just testing on their island, ruining it, and telling them they can go back and, it's still to this day, some of the parts are uninhabitable. Yeah. So I'm saying all that to say it's not as though the United States has never paid it. this is your big blemish, America. This slavery, it's one of your biggest blemishes. And reparations is owed. However, I don't think that the type of reparations that most people feel, which is give us all our money as individuals, that's not going to work. And that won't help none of us. It really won't.
Why don't you think so? Why do you think it won't help?
Well, giving us all money as individuals, well, to be honest, I think that if America would give a reparations, it would be smart to give everybody money as individuals, because black people have some of the most powerful spending money or spending power in America. Just give them cash and they're going to give it back to you.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. It's the ugly truth of us.
Yeah.
But there's so many other things that have been impacted by slavery that putting that money together and getting the resources that we need to try to even out the playing field is more important. For example, we need better schooling, and we don't need to pay a lot for schooling. Not at all. People always bring up to me, you got the HBCUs. I live in Atlanta. There are a lot of them in Atlanta. They are all expensive.
That's where Bernie is. Bernie is like, first of all, I could never get reparations to pass, but I could get, his platform is very much grounded on progressive movements like education, improving those types of things.
Right. And while I agree with him, because I understand why he's doing that, he's on a platform of give it to everybody. But if you give it to everybody, the people who are already ahead of us because of slavery will continue to be ahead of us, even though we will all move forward. We're not going to all start on one platform and then everybody's going to get a chance to succeed.
I asked Sonia this question. I believe it was Sonia. As a black male, as someone who I feel was never talked about it, I feel like it's a given that you've experienced racism in your lifetime. As someone uniquely situated to comment on this, how can America go about, putting reparations aside? How can we come together as a country? Do you ever think that we're going to be an integrated society?
No, absolutely not. No, because this society.
So what's the end point for us? What should we be working toward?
An end to classism. That's what's gonna kill it. Because in my opinion, I've always said, and as ignorant as this may sound, deeply speaking, if poor white people and poor black people and poor Latinos, not even that, if blacks and Latinos and poor white people realize that the upper echelon don't care about none of us, it would completely screw the system up.
It would. It would suck them up bad.
Then we will be like, whoa, racism doesn't really exist? It's really classism that's screwing this country?
But the reason why we can't is because poor whites are, as a class, one of the most racist.
Yes, and they institute that so that, there's a divide there between the people that they need to join forces with. I always said that with women. I always say the women's movement should never go against any of the other movements, such as maybe the Black Rights Movement, or even though I have my own qualms with it, the homosexual community. All of them need to be together because we're all getting screwed.
All disenfranchised, all marginalized people should sit together. Listen, I dated somebody for a pretty good while, and his best friend hated me for a good number of years because in one of our first conversations, I said that I didn't understand why black men did not understand, did not associate, did not appreciate the sexism and the misogyny that women experience. And I told him this was when Barack Obama was running for the Democratic nomination against Hillary Clinton. And I said, Barack Obama, I told him, I said, listen, and this might have even been before that. I said, listen, a black male will be president in this country before a woman will be. And he called me all sorts of names and told me I was crazy and said, no way that Hillary or a white woman would be elected president before a black male ever was. And when Barack Obama was elected president, he called me. We hadn't really spoken, and I wasn't dating. His friend and his best friend and I were still friends. We weren't dating by that point, but he called me and apologized to me.
Yeah.
Now, I never have understood, and there's a lot of black men that think that way.
Because here's the problem with victimhood, and then I'll go back to exactly the point. Victimhood brings attention. So we don't want to share that attention with anybody else.
Right. That makes sense.
Because we're victims and you're victims and you're victims now, I need my attention.
Okay.
And you don't need yours. And I think when you get into that, you just miss the whole point that there may be a common denominator of people that are screwing you all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think with classism is like. You know, we talk about reparations and all that. Like, I totally agree, but it will still be divisive because there's always going to be classism. And the moment that everybody turns around and looks and sees classism is a big issue in this country, that all the money and all the rules and regulations are made by 3% of the entire world, then everything will change. Yeah. But we're just going to keep arguing about racism, and it's going to be battled between small groups.
Yeah.
And the big group is going to sit at the top and just keep laughing.
Yeah. I completely agree. Mike, it's been so much fun chatting. I want you to go watch, not tonight, soon. I want you to sit down and watch Blazing Saddles. You're going to have to come back on here. We're going to have to talk about Donald Trump some more about Bernie Sanders and reparations and some of these other topics. It's gone by so fast. It's been fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's always great to talk to Sharona. Sharona, I've always said that you are one of my most beloved people in this industry.
I feel the same way.
You challenge the status quo, and you're not afraid to share your knowledge and wisdom and your strong opinions with everybody. And I appreciate that because not everybody has that invested into their lives. So I always thank you for that.
Well, we're definitely kindred spirits that way, aren't we?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Tell everybody out there again where they can find you.
Again, you can follow me at Excalaba on Twitter. That's at EXCALABA. And again, at the number 4 HF Advantage. That is my sports media company where I talk just about as much trash as Sharona.
Yeah, and you definitely need to come back on because we didn't get around to LeBron and some of these other things. I want to talk some basketball with you.
Absolutely. We got to do it.
All right. Cool. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.